Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be talking about transit Mars, sextile, or trine one's natal Saturn. Now, this transit could manifest in courage, action, initiative, drive, motivation, and energy. This could be in harmony with one's career, and I'm going to elaborate and expound on that. Well, the thing about it is it's a time where you could have more motivation, more drive, and enthusiasm, just in general for career-related matters. If your natal midheaven, if your natal Saturn is in Sagittarius, it could be a career connected with publishing or advertising, something with sports or religion or philosophy, or you could be a printing press operator. Some examples, it could be also too where this is a time where you simply may not be afraid of laborious work, whatever it entails. You're willing more this time to tackle it, figuratively speaking. It could be a time too where when you have this transit, it's a time as well. Where you're going to feel, the energy you have could be very disciplined. I have this aspect natally. I have Mars sextile. My natal Saturn makes a very tight sextile, and I'm just very, to anybody that knows me and understands me what I'm about, I'm very disciplined, with what I do and my actions in general. And anybody that has in their natal chart, make sure you look at the closest aspects you have in it, because those aspects could be very prominent. They will be intensified. Mine makes an almost exact, my natal Mars makes an almost exact sextile to my natal Saturn. But anyway, another thing I want to talk about, it's also having the initiative and the drive, motivation to take care of responsibilities as well. If you have your natal Saturn, say, in the zodiac sign Cancer and or the fourth house, it can be a time where you have more of that energy, the vitality. It's a good amount of energy and vitality to take care of responsibilities. If the natal Saturn is in Scorpio, well, first I want to go back to the zodiac sign Cancer and or the fourth house example. That could be, you might be taking care of a debilitated or sickly family member. There could be home responsibilities, such as with plumbing as some examples, or laundry. It can be, something to as well. When you have this transit, it's a time when you it's having the courage to even understand and see any kind of limitations or restrictions you have. Some of you may wonder, well, what is the difference between this transit and having transit Mars making a conjunction to one's natal Saturn? Well, the answer is, well, they're comparable, they're similar, but when you have the transit Mars hitting the natal Saturn could be a little bit more limiting with the energy, because you're having the planet Saturn connected with limitations and restrictions contacting Mars, the planet of drive and energy. It could also be a lot of concentration on doing things that require energy. But the thing about it is, when you have a conjunction, it's very intensified and amplified. But when you have the sextile and the trine, it could give that right amount of energy to taking care of things that require laborious efforts, responsibilities, career and work related matters. So that is where you have that difference. Now, another thing too, it's a time to, since Saturn, my natal Saturn is in Taurus, in the 12th house of restrictions. So when I have this transit, it's a time where I could actually have more of the courage to actually look at, what's limiting in my life. Saturn in Taurus by itself, though it's generational, can manifest in limitations of self-worth, self-esteem, monetary limitations in things of a monetary nature, your possessions, your resources. And being in the 12th house is tied to secret sorrows with me. And the thing is, it's about being able to look at your limitations and restrictions in the eye very well, and being able to perhaps do something about them, confront them, and find some constructive means, maybe to work your way through them. And It's a time too when you have a Saturn. Saturn is about delays as well. So it's less likely a time to get impatient regarding some kind of delay, whether it's when you're taking a short journey or you're waiting on some email. At this time, it's a time where if there are any delays, that you can constructively, if you're waiting on an email, say, to come, and you're a little bit exasperated as a result of it. It's a time where you can constructively state, I've been waiting on the email for such and such time. I'm checking on the status of this, and address your concern in a constructive manner, as an example, but being direct, but not in a way that's forceful or overly, where it's going to push the person back, or a person's going to be rebuffed by what you state. Now, anatomically speaking, okay, Saturn is connected with the knees, the bones, the joints, the hamstrings, and the gallbladder. So this could be a time, if there's any surgery that may need to be done on any of those things I described that are anatomically connected with Saturn, it can be an auspicious time for doing so. You're having a good transit. It's a good favorable aspect with Mars, which is connected with surgery, and I just described what Saturn is anatomically connected within astrology. And the thing about this too, it's also having the ability, I would say at this time, if you're doing any rehab, with the knees or whatever it might be, that or hamstrings, something that's connected with Saturn, this could be the time to have the energy and vitality, the right amount to take care of it at this time. It's also the time, if you have any of those issues that I described that are anatomically connected with Saturn, to have the courage or taking the action, the initiative to do something about it at this time and address the matter. If it's something you've procrastinated on or hesitated on for some time, this is a time more likely than not that you would actually take action on it. Now, another thing too is that Saturn is also connected with chronic illnesses. So the same could apply for that, what I just described. It's anatomically connected with Saturn. If you have your natal Saturn going back to zodiac sign Taurus as an example, if there's something chronic with the thyroid or the throat or neck or esophagus, this could be the time where, if there's something you can do to improve the situation, this is the time where you're more likely not to take action regarding it. And also, too, Saturn is associated with the father, older people, and authority figures. So this could be the time, if you needed to confront any of these people about something, address an issue, air your grievance, or what have you, this is the time where you're more likely able to do so, without the negative backlash. And being able to get your point across in a direct and outspoken manner, constructively, but not in a destructive manner, not in a way where you're going to feel as many repercussions as you ordinarily would. And again, I have this aspect natively, Mars sextile my Saturn. There's times when I have confronted people in authority, it didn't always come out good. But it seems like you have more the courage to be able to do so, at this time when you have this by transit more so than usual. And it's also a time to the fact that Saturn is about our fears. And Saturn, this is a time where you're more apt to have the ability to confront your fears if you have any at this time. If the natal Saturn, say, is in Leo and or the fifth house, it could be something about some kind of fame, or being in the spotlight, getting accolades or some kind of recognition for something, and adulation and applause. That could be the time where it might be where you could face up to these things and understand them more, and maybe do something, take action regarding it. Now, another way this transit could manifest, it could be about having the drive and motivation, which is Mars, for career-related matters, and pretty much reiterating what I said previously. Now, as an example, though, let's say if the natal Saturn is in Gemini, maybe the career could be associated with being a mailman, or something with communications, like a reporter or a journalist or a writer, Data or satellite communications, something connected with manual dexterity such as refrigeration or auto mechanics. Hold on a moment, people. Sorry about that, I'm back, but anyway, yeah, that's my signature statement. Anyway, another way this transit may be expressed, it could be having the vitality, which is Mars, for laborious work, which is Saturn, having that right amount of energy for that. Now, going back to the natal Saturn and Taurus as an example, let's say in the 12th house, like what I have, it could be doing something persistent and steady, which is Taurus, in solitude and seclusion, which is the 12th house, or even something with the metaphysical, which includes astrology. Now, another thing is that it could also be a time where a sex partner, which is associated with Mars, is more in harmony and agreement with your responsibilities, which is Saturn. Now let's take, say the natal Saturn is in the zodiac sign Cancer as an example. It could be doing responsibilities may include laundry, plumbing, cooking, as some examples. Could be home renovation. And Saturn is connected with our responsibilities, of course. And again, another way this transit could manifest is that it could be auspicious to take action, which is Mars, in dealing with fears, which is Saturn. Now, let's say, for example, going back to the natal Saturn being in Leo as an example. Let's say the natal Saturn is in Leo in the 11th house. It could be simply the expression of just being gregarious, extroverted, which is Leo, in group-related matters, which is the 11th house. And it's also a time where it could be more propitious to take action, which is Mars, in matters that are associated with your limitations, which is Saturn. Let's say, for example, you have your natal Saturn, if it's in Virgo, and or the 6th house. Maybe there's something, as far as your analytical ability or difficulty in diagnosing things. You have your natal Saturn in Virgo in the 3rd house as an example. Maybe there's something with diagnosing, vehicles, or analyzing communications, or being able to speak analytically, as some examples. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.